The most dangerous thing for any country is when you have educated people doing menial tasks. The most dangerous thing for any country is when you have PhD holders applying for the positions of constables and various Group D positions. The most dangerous thing for any country is when you have educated people selling pohas and teas. Why? Because it leads to frustration. They did not do an MBA or BTech because they wanted to open a roadside stall. They pursued those degrees with dreams. Perhaps they had big dreams. They perhaps wanted to contribute to a nation's growth story like Kalam, Vikram Sarabhai, or perhaps Homi Bhabha. If Kalam, Vikram Sarabhai, or Homi Bhabha were to become pohawalas after their degrees in physics, India would have been at par with North Korea in terms of technological advancements. Absolutely nothing against these professions, to be very clear. All these professions are contributing immensely to India's growth story. But our goal as the government is to ensure that each of our citizens realizes their true potential. If an MBA graduate wants to open a burger stall, they should do it. They might perhaps compete with McDonald's and Burger Kings in the global markets. But if they are selling burgers on streets out of compulsion, that is a compromised life. And that's a shame for our country. Because they are not doing out of passion, they are doing it out of compulsion. They're doing it because one of their dreams got crushed. And when your dreams get crushed, you become agitated, you become frustrated. And then you need an outlet to vent out that frustration. Today, some of these people might vent out their frustrations on Reddit, Twitter, while being a useless member of India's economy. But hundreds of years ago, there was no Reddit or Twitter, no YouTube comment section, where frustrated folks could vent out their vile. Hundreds of years ago, these educated, jobless, or underemployed youngsters got attracted to radical politics. It's a travesty when educated, very well-educated people cannot find jobs. It's not a good situation that one of the most admired job in India is a government job. Government should never be the direct employer. That's not what we should aspire for. If British had provided these educated people high-quality jobs, good employment opportunities, it would have been very easy for Britain to continue their rule over India. But that did not happen. So hundreds of years ago, these educated, underemployed Indians became the best propagators and followers of militant nationalism. Why? Because they were paid low salary. They were unemployed, some of them. But more so because they were educated in modern thoughts, in modern politics, in European and world history. And still they were underemployed or unemployed. Politicians will focus a lot on unemployment numbers, but never on underemployment numbers. That's where the frustration lies. So unemployment is when people who are capable of working and are actively seeking to work cannot find the employment. Underemployment is a very funny term. They are employed, but they're not employed to their full capacity. Very hard to measure underemployment. To all the newbies, Arab Spring was a series of anti-government protests, a series of uprisings that spread across much of the Arab world and also parts of Africa in early 2010. It began with Tunisia in December 2019, when a street vendor self-immolated himself, burned himself to death. Why? Because he was harassed by municipal officials. It was his death in Tunisia that incited protests against the poor living conditions, corruption, political repression, and a small incident led to the ousting of the long-term president of Tunisia. Whatever happened in Tunisia then inspired Egyptians. Inspired by the events in Tunisia, Egyptians launched a protest, a campaign against the President Hosni Mubarak. And a month later, Hosni Mubarak resigned. From Egypt, it spread to Libya. From Libya, it spread to Yemen. From Yemen to Syria. So the way international affairs, international relations, the foreign policies affected the lives of Muammar Gaddafi, to Hosni Mubarak, to Ali Abdullah Saleh of Yemen, hundreds of years ago in India, something similar was happening. International affairs influencing the happenings in India. The way Egyptians got inspired by Tunisians, Indians get inspired by the global happenings. The global politics of that age will encourage growth of militant nationalism in India. Do you know who are the luckiest people in the world? The luckiest people are those who have role models, someone who they can look up to, someone who they can aspire to be. Because when they see that admirable personality, they feel motivated, they feel inspired, they have a reason to live. They say to themselves that if they can make big in life, so can I. People from India will also seek that inspiration from Japan, from Ethiopia. Why? What will happen in those countries? In 1868, the rise of modern Japan was incredible. The rise of modern Japan after 1868 showed that a backward Asian country could develop itself without Western control. That's remarkable. In a matter of few decades, Japanese leaders made their country as a first-rate industrial country, a first-rate military power. Their society was thriving. They had introduced universal primary education back in those days. It was an efficient modern state with efficient administration, efficient bureaucracy. And when they defeated Russia in 1904, Japan defeated Russia in 1904, it exploded the myth of European superiority. Everywhere in Asia, people were enthusiastic about this news. News of a small nation, news of an Asian country winning over one of the biggest military powers in Europe. In fact, in Karachi, there was a newspaper called Karachi Chronicle. In 1905, it had a news item, and it stated if Japan can drub Russia, India can also drub England with equal ease. So let us drive the British into the sea and let us take our place side by side with Japan among the great powers of the world. Of course, that will take many years. Today, I think we are next in the table in terms of purchasing power parity. Not just Japan, Ethiopia also defeated the Italian army in 1896. There were revolutionary movements in Ireland, Russia, Egypt, Turkey, China. There were Boer wars in South Africa. All these events convinced the Indians that if we can get united and if we are ready to make sacrifices, we can challenge even the most powerful of despotic governments. And this was beautiful. So internally, moderates have created a critique. Internally, people were realizing the reasons why they were unemployed, why they were underemployed. And externally, you have such incredible role model in the form of Japan, Ethiopia, revolutionaries in Turkey, South Africa. They were succeeding. Why couldn't we succeed?